Welcome to the Justice Room. Your life, your rights, your options. Experience and learn from discussions with legal professionals and other experts about the law, its challenges, and how it could affect you. Here at the Justice Room. Welcome to the Justice Room. Welcome to the Justice Room. This is your host, Jacome. Today we brought in attorney Schott, who is a candidate for the 18th Judicial Circuit in and for Seminole County, Florida. He is a candidate that is running for Seminole County Court Judge in Group 5. Thank you for coming on the show, Mr. Schott.
Thank you very much for having me, Mr. Jacome.
Thank you. Please call me Jay.
Jay.
First of all, I'm going to start by saying that the Justice Room has invited several of the candidates that are running for county court judge, and we have no professional, no personal, nor are we promoting an endorsement with any one of these candidates. We're here to gather information about them, their experience, their legal career, and why they're running for judge. And we've opened it up as a general discussion with these candidates so that they can tell our listeners a little bit about who they are and why they should be the next Seminole County Court judge. So again, thank you for coming on our show, Mr. Schott.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jay.
So let me start by asking you just to give us a real brief background history on you, your legal career, your experience, your qualifications, and keep in mind that we're going to also cover some of these topics during the show.
Oh. I came down here to Florida in 1978, graduated University of Florida in 1982. Got my law degree from University of Florida in 1985. Started with a small firm, a 5-man firm, in 1986. Can I go into some of my personal life?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. In 1988, I met my wife, and she was a single parent with 3 children, so I kind of fell in love with all 4 of them. I married my wife. I adopted those 3 girls. We then had a 4th girl, Stephanie, and then we were legal guardians for my niece, Melissa. So all told, 5 teenage girls have come through my home.
Wow.
In 1991, I made partner after 5 years with the firm, and in 1993, I started my own law firm 16 years ago and have been having my own law firm practice for the last 16 years.
Oh, wow. That seems like you've had your handful there with 4 teenage daughters.
I love challenges.
So tell us a little bit about your legal career.
Okay, I'd like that. Early on, I did almost every area of civil law that you could name. Got a lot of experience at a lot of different things. And when an attorney decides to go out on their own, blaze their own trail, they usually pick an area of law to pick as their bread and butter area of law, Jay.
Right.
I decided that I wanted to do workers' compensation for 2 reasons. Number one is that I really like helping the little guy.
Right.
And workers' comp is helping average people against big corporations or big insurance companies.
Sure.
And also, it's an area of law where people really need a lifeline. Mm-hmm. They really do. And so in order to effect change, it wasn't enough for me just to handle individual cases and make a difference on that level. I wanted to make a difference in the system. Things I did was get board certified as an expert in workers' compensation. And then I was appointed to be on the statewide rules committee, writing the rules for all the lawyers and judges in the state of Florida. I was vice chairman of that. And then when our former governor put together a task force to eliminate workers' compensation fraud, I was one of 2 attorneys elected in this state to the task force from 1999 to 2005.
Wow, okay.
And so my goal is not just to practice law and make a living, it's to change an area of law or affect change for the better. One of my favorite mottos that I live by, I think Lincoln said it, is you make a living by what you get, and you make a life by what you give.
Right,
and
right.
I like giving of myself and making a difference.
What is one of the most significant cases that you've dealt with in your legal career?
Well, amazingly enough, probably the most significant case I've ever had was my very first. And,
okay.
And by the grace of God, I wound up with this case. A lady called from the hospital. She had a bruised foot, possibly a break. Nobody in the firm wanted a bruised foot case, so I was the lowly associate. I got this. This is my first month on the job.
Right.
I went to visit with Diane Lamoureux. That was her name, in the hospital. She got released, and as it turned out, her neurologist said that she might have a condition called RSD, which is reflex sympathetic dystrophy. And back in 1986, very few, even in the medical profession, knew of this condition. They didn't know how it was caused. They didn't know how to treat it. But they knew that it created a lot of pain in an extremity. So Dr. Goodman ordered a series of epidural injections to relieve the pain in her spine. Unfortunately, the anesthesiologist that did the epidural injections used a needle that was not disinfected.
Oh.
And so it infected her spinal cord, but what happened in the interim was she had planned a vacation to go see her parents and her children who were living up in Lowell, Massachusetts. She went up there. Her first day there, her legs stopped moving and stopped working. So they medevaced her to Maine Medical Center. This is May of 1986. They did a 2-level laminectomy. She wound up being an incomplete paraplegic.
Oh, wow.
This is my first case, okay?
Okay.
And so
I can see the significance on it.
And so I don't know if you know how insurance companies set reserves on a case, but they basically look at the extent of the injury, the extent of the trauma, and the age of the person, and then they set a reserve of how much money they're going to put or have to pay out on the case.
Yeah.
The reserves on Diane's case were less than $10,000.
Wow.
So every single thing she needed, from the hospital bills, the surgical bills, the home care, a modified van, modified house, they fought us on everything.
Wow.
And after multiple appeals and multiple hearings, I settled that case for well into the 7 figures. I got her an assisted living type house. I got her a modified van.
And this is your first case?
This is my first case out of law school. And one thing I'd like to share, to make it a personal story, is that my wife has all the talent in our family. She's directed church choirs for 25 years. She played in the orchestra. Very talented lady. But I also play guitar and I write music, or at least I used to when I had time.
Right.
And Diane's systems were failing. Paraplegics don't last that long. Their internal organs start to fail. And we all knew she was going to go. And this is 1997. And so I wrote a song for her, a poem about what she meant to me, because I basically learned law and medicine through her case.
Right.
I mean, I owed her so much. And after her funeral up there, her son David sent me a letter and said that in her casket they had buried my song.
Oh, wow.
And that just meant a lot to me. And that was by far the most interesting case I've had.
Yeah, I definitely have to say that definitely, I think it would be in my top list if I had a story like that to tell as well.